So Undying is one of the best offlaners right now in the current meta. His ability to dominate almost any single lane, farm quickly, take Roshan, tank absurd amount of damage and frontline for his teammate make him an ideal pick for every single player. If you're looking for consistent MMR, Undying is basically a cheat code right now. So in this video we will learn everything to know about Undying Offlane from the very beginning to the very end. Let's not waste any more time and go. To begin with, you should go for the left facet, the rotating mid facet. This facet helps you actually stay on top of target, and it deals a lot of damage because every time you hit with flash golem, you have more zombies attacking the target, which is really annoying for enemies to deal with. Your starting items depends a bit on the matchup, but there's a reliable default that works in most games. You start with 2 Gauntlet of Strength, a Magic Stick and 2 Iron Branches. You're gonna get tangos on the first boundary rune gold. Now, if you're playing against a lane with a lot of physical right click, for example something like a Draw Ranger and a Task, you might want to swap out the Magic Stick for a Ring of Protection or even go double Ring of Protection for the armor. The goal is to survive the first few levels comfortably and get your Soul Ring out quickly. Ideally, you wanna skip Quelling Blade as you should have no problem last hitting and you really don't wanna waste the gold. Once in the laning stage, the first actual item that you wanna bring as soon as possible is Soul Ring. Now, Undying is an extremely mana-hungry hero, and the hero actually feels pretty useless if you don't have mana. The combo is pretty simple. You wanna use Soul Ring, then cast Decay, and then regain the health lost by stealing strength from your opponents. That way, you're sustaining yourself while harassing the enemy. At level 1, you always want to go Decay. Now, some players might suggest go Tombstone level 1 if there is some kind of boundary rune fight, but there is no way you should go for that because this actually costs you a lot in the lane stage because level 1 you're actually useless there, so always go Decay. At level 2, you almost always will go for Tombstone. This allows you to actually dive towers, to really go hard on enemies and gives you a lot of kill potential. Yet, there are some scenarios where if there is some kind of low HP hero, you really wanna snipe him by skilling Soul Rip in the last moment, which deals around 100 damage. So I usually like to keep the skill point because I might snipe someone. A good example of going Soul Rip on level 2 is against something like a Morphling, who is a hero that is basically low HP all the time. Level 3, you're gonna go back for Decay, which is your main harassing and farming ability. Then you're gonna max Decay, you're gonna max Tombstone, and of course lastly you're gonna max Soul Rip. Your talent choices are pretty straightforward. At level 10, you're really gonna go for the Decay damage. This buffs both your farming and fighting. This talent is also insane because it allows you to one-shot range creep while you farm waves. At level 15, you're gonna go for the zombie damage, which not only amplifies your damage from the Tombstone, but also amplifies your facet. At level 20, you're gonna go for the Decay cooldown, which becomes extremely powerful because you have it once every 2 seconds. And lastly, level 25, you're gonna go for the Flesh Golem strength bonus, which you're gonna become basically unkillable. Okay, now you have your starting items and the laning stage starts. What do you do? So, the first thing that you want to do is to actually cast Decay on enemy heroes. Ideally, you want to catch both heroes, and if you find the opportunity, go for it. But generally, you want to cast it as soon as possible because you want the extra health to actually last hit. From here, your plan is to apply constant sustainable pressure. What does this even mean? You want to use Decay for harassment, but don't overextend. In the beginning, what you want to do is get the extra strength and try to deny and last it as much as possible until level 2. Generally, the idea is to get Soul Ring and the stick because you're gonna have mana problems early on, but once you're there, then you can constantly use DKs and you should be fine by harassing and decreasing the enemy's strength all the time. Now, if the wave pushes under the enemy tower, as you can see here, either because they pulled prematurely or because you actually pushed the wave, you can place a Tombstone in a smart position and dive them under tower. Use a creep wave and the zombies and even fortification later on so you can dive under the tower. it's almost impossible for them to be able to tank a whole creep wave plus a tombstone plus DKs all the time, and most likely enemies are going to die on their tower, they're gonna lose every single creep, and basically you have just won the laning stage. Later on, what you wanna do is basically do the same exact thing. What does it mean? DK opponents and try to actually decrease their HP so you can tombstone, dive them, and basically try to kill them again and again until you get level 6. Once you get level 6, what you want to do is basically use zombie, punch them once they have enough slow, and the damage amplification makes it actually impossible for anyone to survive. So what you want to do is use ulti, hit opponent, use DK, use tombstone, and basically everybody dies. So assuming you're in the mid game right now and you just finished the laning stage, what items do you buy? Generally, this is where Undying can become really hard to itemize correctly if you're not really an experienced Undying player. But don't worry, watching this video is gonna help you. In most games, what you wanna buy is actually phase boots after the Soul Ring and the Wand. This gives you armor and the mobility you need to chase heroes down. You really don't wanna buy something like treads, and there are some ideas you can go arcane boots, but if you don't plan to go greaves, then phase boots is your way to go. Next, if you're playing against high physical damage, you almost always gonna go straight blade mail. This gives you armor, allows you to farm faster, and punishes enemies for focusing you. After that, depending on the game, you have many options. If you want to catch backline, for example heroes like Draw and Sniper, you're really gonna go Echo Saber into Harpoon. This allows you to double hit enemies, so you're gonna double spawn zombies. You can also go something like a Mage Slayer, which I'm having great success when I get to play versus a Lestra core or a Pudge core. Mage Slayer, while a weird item and a little bit unconventional, it's great because it gives you magic resistance and also allows you to have more mana, which solves your mana problem. Another option is Vanguard, which later on you can go into Crimson Guard. Now, this is a especially good build which you can buy with a blade mail or without a blade mail, but generally Crimson Guard scales with strength, and Crimson Guard is really good against high attack speed heroes, for example Phantom Lancer because there are a lot of illusion, Winged Ranger core, Luna, and Medusa. It's also great against Terrorblade, but also you can go for the chat build against Terrorblade. Now here's a cool thing, if you go for Vanguard, you can disassemble it before you go into Crimson Guard and buy an Octarine core, which is one of the best Undying items. Generally, no matter which build path you're gonna choose, you'll almost always end up going for Octarine at some point. It gives you mana sustain, cooldown reduction, and makes your DK spam even better. After Octarine core, what you almost always wanna buy is actually Aghanims. Aghanims is great. Aghanims on Undying is one of the best Aghanims in the game. Basically with Octarine and Aghs, you just spam DK and you become some 6k HP beast that runs enemies down, and basically you kill everyone and you are unkillable. Lastly, when it comes to items, at some point most likely you're gonna need a BKB, especially if you're playing versus heavy disable or silences. Needless to say, items like Shard, while great, it's not really a core item early on unless I really wanna save my core from something like Blink Duel, but even if I want to buy Shard on Undying, that's going to be until way later into the game. So by now, you've won the laning stage, you know what to buy, what do? Let's say we're in the mid game, it's 10-15 minutes in. After you've taken the enemy safe lane tower, your job is basically to farm until you get your first core item. Usually that's phase boots and blade mail. Once you've got those, it's time to group with your team and start looking to take control of the map. Generally, the idea is you want to be as tanky as possible and spam DK on enemy heroes in every fight. The idea is to go for long fights and spam DK, because the longer the fight, the more DKs you're going to spam, and the more DKs you're gonna spam, the more tanky you get and you punch enemies. When you're setting up for a fight, what you want to do is you want to position Tombstone far enough that it won't get instantly destroyed, but close enough that it can spawn zombies until the backline. And the idea is pretty simple. You frontline, you let them commit spells, and then you just flesh golem, drop tombstone, and start spamming DKs. You can even bait enemies, as you can see here, and they actually commit a lot of spells, but in reality you can never die because everything is calculated. Once they've committed enough, what you want to do is flash golem, BKB, tombstone, DK, soul rip yourself so you're gonna live longer, and then just turn back and start punching them. And as you can see, we actually stomped the fight. Now, when you get to play Undying, even as support, even as a core, a good tip is to go Roshan around 50 minutes in. Basically, Undying can do that fairly easily if you use Tombstone and use Flesh Golem because there's a lot of extra damage amplification from your ultimate. So if your carry or your mid lane help you out, that should be a free Aegis for them. Needless to say that you really don't want to take Aegis because you have your innate, because when you die in a fight or when you get picked off randomly, once every few minutes, you can actually instantly respawn and you can just connect instantly once again. Now let's talk about matchups. Some heroes are annoying for Undying to play against. My favorite example is Phoenix. His Fire Spirits makes it hard to trade and Supernova is a nightmare to deal with, basically because I have no attack speed. Troll can be a really tricky in lane, even though you can deal with him later on once you're tankier and have Blade Mail or Crimson Guard. Heroes that generally burn your mana are also really annoying. Heroes like PL with Diffusal Blade, while you might do really well in the lane stage, he is going to be a really big problem. As we said before, if you have no mana, then we have problems. The hero feels absolutely useless. A cool way to deal with him is go something like Crimson Guard and Radiance, but even then, it's really hard to deal with him. Other than that, Undying pretty much stomps every single carry, and he doesn't have a lot of problems early on in the laning stage versus support. On the flip side, Undying works really well with a lot of support. You want to have heroes that either have big slow or they have stance. For example, heroes like Skarath Mage with a slow, Snapfire with a cookie, Dark Willow, Rubik Telekinesis, basically anything that will allow you to be closer to the enemies and hit them. Later in the game, having a hero with a stun is super useful. Examples like Lion, Zakira, Rubik, because Undying lacks disable. So even if you catch someone, he can always TP out and that's a major problem. Lastly, Undying is not a mobile hero. What does this mean? This means that we have a hard time to move around the map and set up things. So we really want our mid laner to be something that can move on the map and overall be really high mobility. Examples like Storm, Ember, Void Spirit, Pack, Cop. So you're gonna be in the front line, tanking everything, and they're going to be in the back line, destroying supports and overall setting high tempo in the game. And that is it. That is a full Undying Offlane guide. If you follow this plan, which is pretty simple, you'll dominate lanes, take early Roshan and scale into an unkillable frontline beast. The hero is strong, flexible, and honestly is one of the most MMR efficient heroes you can pick right now. Basically, Undying is broken. As usual, leave your comment down below and I will answer as soon as possible. GG, Raza, and I'll see you on the next video. Hey guys, real quick, if you did like this video, make sure you subscribe, like and comment as it motivates us a lot to keep making these videos and these guides. And of course, make sure you check out our 6-month coaching program. It's almost guaranteed. That's gonna get you to the next metal, if not metals. The link is gonna be down in the descriptions. Make sure you click it and apply right now.